Good evening. It is Thursday, July 21st, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, asshole. What separates our show from other millennial news podcasts?
That we know to put our true mercenary nature behind a paywall, because we absolutely would give it good advice to anybody.
Yep. Who's willing to pay?
Yeah.
Figure out how to take over the world.
Thursday, July the 1st.
21st.
Oh,
Yes, it's July 1st. We found a time machine and went back to warn people.
Bull fucking shit. If they found a time machine, Hitler'd already be dead.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's cool, but we can fight about it on the way to there, because that is absolutely what I'm doing if I'm left alone in a room with a time machine.
Fair.
We have a boomer and a Gen Zer, and not just any boomer and Gen Zer. We have Mr. BoomerRex himself,
Good evening.
and my son, or spawn, Sleet.
You are truly amazing in introductions. You've been practicing, haven't you?
I do agree the paradoxes would be problematic. but
Yeah, that's true.
I don't care.
Asshole and boomer. You two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and Sleet and I are learning that's 4 unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table.
Paradoxes don't matter if you're selfish enough.
Now, tonight, we are discussing the latest January...
Unless they make you disappear, which would be a bad thing.
Yeah, but you can only be judged for things you had the power to do something about, so... Like, I could only be judged for not killing baby Hitler if I had a time machine.
Right.
So if I have a time machine, I'm gonna go kill his ass.
Okay. But you may disappear in the process.
He's a fucking...
If he disappears in the process, then that means Hitler would live, which means he would reappear. Hence the paradox.
No, because he went into his past. He would simply not be born.
Which seems like it'd be more troublesome to the making the thing happen, but I'm trying to be quiet so Risen doesn't kill us all.
Okay.
I think that
That's
ship
the
has
fun part,
sailed.
though.
You have any last
The
words?
beatings will commence at the end of the show.
I just don't want to be
Don't
first.
worry, it goes the other way around usually.
Tonight, we are discussing the latest January 6th hearing, and then we'll be going over your homework. Last chance to go read that article. All right. This hearing covered minute by minute Trump's whereabouts and actions during the 87 minutes of horror.
187 minutes.
Yeah, 187 minutes of horror. This hearing was just wild. In the sense of nothing that was said tonight is any sort of like new revelation or anything like that. It just kind of solidifies the shittery that you knew. You just knew was going on behind the scenes. Like, no proof, no evidence, but you didn't need it. You knew.
Yep.
And then you watch this and you say, I was right, called it.
Yes, that all they're doing is fleshing out who rolled over and how fast and how
and
far.
blah, blah, blah. Now, so I found a really, an article actually that just popped up that has literally bullet points, which is perfect because we can discuss the bullet points. So, Trump, this key highlights. Okay. Trump refused to say the election was over in a January 7th speech, according to never before seen outtakes aired Thursday.
That's because he plans to use the big lie to make a lot of money, and he's done exactly that on the backs of his supporters.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and
They've been sheared like sheep.
didn't have the radioactive event that was so bad everyone would want to look away to any brighter future. Again, this was the Brooks Brothers riot taken to 11, right? The way they stole the election in 2000, yeah. Same trick, only they couldn't get it done,
Yeah.
and
Trump is
yay.
businessman first.
All right, hold
Money
on.
first.
I can't continue without a towel in here, folks. Hold on.
Yeah.
All right. Gotta get that in there. Okay.
Can opening ASMR.
Yeah. Now we are ready to continue. Now that I have my libation. Okay. New footage shows Senator Josh Hawley fleeing the mob after he, quote, riled up the crowd with a fist bump.
Oh.
That photo I've seen a lot of. But when you hear what was going on when he did that, it gives context to it, because previously you just see him, you just see a picture of him walking, towards the, Capitol building, and he's got his fist up, and he's like, yeah, And
Besides Gazelle, and then later we found out Gazelle sprinting down the hallway,
Yeah.
getting high enough so he could kick all those old bastards in the legs. So
Yeah.
the fucking mob takes them and not him because
I think
wow,
Because
you're a
he
coward,
finally
bro.
he finally realized they weren't going to ask what his name was before they hung him.
so.
His base can't identify their own.
Yeah.
They don't know who who other Republicans elected are.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So,
fucking-
so what was going on when you've seen this picture of a young gentleman holding his fist up in the air? Okay. So now we know that is Josh Hawley, and that wasn't hidden or anything
Yeah.
like that. I just didn't know his name at the time. But anyway, so you see this picture, and what's happening is the crowd, he's facing the crowd, right? So the photographer is in the crowd, and he bumps his fist. The crowd goes wild. They're all about it. Gets
He pumps his
all
fist,
riled
yeah.
up.
Pumps
Pumps his fist.
Yeah.
Bumps his fist. Pumps his fist. Whatever.
He held his
puts
fucking fist
in
up
the
in
air.
the normal
Right.
left.
Because the other one is the terrorist fist bump.
True. Well, Biden did prove that. He did fist bump a terrorist.
And then they show pictures of him running for his life through the hallway once these people that he riled up
Fucker can run.
gets inside. Oh yeah, it was impressive.
Hill Team 6 was not going to catch that boy. That college kid was gone.
He was like, it's gonna be a damn cold day now when these motherfuckers get me.
You should look it up. Did he get a fucking scholarship for track and field? He should have.
He must have.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to get a mob of crazies to chase him all the time.
Anyway, and then you see him like running past other people down some stairs and shit, like out of my way.
Yeah.
What the hell are you running for? And then the mob comes by.
Well, it was the mob. They were all running from the mob at that point. But anyway, the next one is Trump resisted calling for peace until Ivanka Trump convinced him, a former White House aide said in live testimony. Yeah, I don't. I don't feel comfortable giving Ivanka that credit because she wasn't the only one telling him. Like, literally dozens and dozens of people were saying,
Yeah.
like, in person, dozens of people. Over the phone, more
Who
dozens of
actually
people.
knew something, unlike Ivanka, who is an intellectual cipher.
Yeah. People on the news, Fox News, fucking Steve Bannon called him and was like, "You need to stop the insanity." People.
You would have thought Sean Hannity saying that would have stopped.
None of the it's part of the horror show. No, I think it's absolutely how he was trained to build his empires. He cannot take advice from anyone whose future is not inextricably tied to his.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because if
Nope,
he
I can
falls,
believe that.
Ivanka falls for sure.
Yeah. So she has to advise him honestly, which is the last thing he would expect from any advisor, because they're all trying to steal from him.
And he doesn't. Yeah. First off, you don't get to the second round of interviews if they think you have interest in things like the truth
Yeah.
or objective reality.
Or the law. Or
Ivanka, do yourself a favor. Make sure your daddy writes you into the will, and then, I don't know, he's old. Bad things happen to people.
Yeah.
It's fine.
are there any stairs at Mar-a-Lago?
Right? Maybe
I
they
don't
could,
think there are.
they could go to Ivana's house
Florida, nobody's
to
got stairs in
lay a
Florida.
wreath or whatever.
There you go.
So anyway, and the next one, former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, who has been a star this entire series. that we're
Scumbag.
hearing. Oh, I'm
Copycat
not saying he's a
fired.
good person, but he
Yeah.
certainly has been tweeting a lot.
Yes.
And I mean tweeting as in singing, you know, the old jail thing, for
Yeah.
those of you who don't catch the reference.
Eh.
Anyway. Said in recorded testimony the White House staff wanted writers to go home and suggested Trump did not. I think suggested is a weak word. One thing that annoyed me about this entire hearing was that there was lots of times where they used weak words where they should have used strong words.
So, again, the whole hearing made me sick.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of a couple of people, you can see all of Trump's advisors who recognize that they're under oath and they have to say something, but they decide to say it in the weakest possible way,
Right.
so that they retain their credibility as Trumpistas.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they can walk it back.
I
in
told
case-
him.
yeah.
I told him when I had to tell him to keep the Steve off of me.
that
or
anyone with a
Trump
sense
or-
of history knows that we are not going to exist as a nation by 2030. It doesn't take more than 10 years after they try and take your country before they successfully do.
Oh, and we also learned that witnesses corroborated the heated exchange between Trump and his security detail. So what was her name?
is there anybody who ever disbelieved that?
There's been much made of it's right. Again, it's all they've got on the other side is they
Yep.
need to call all of it hearsay. Although sometimes they say it's heresy because they aren't
Because
good
they're
at
stupid and can't
yeah,
spell.
because
real-
autocorrect doesn't tell you what the word means.
Real quick, I just want to give credit to where I found these bullet points because it's rude to read them and not
Yeah.
give credit. So this was NBCnews.com live updates / January 6 hearings highlights committee examines Trump's actions during riot. Excuse me. Thursday's primetime hearing focused on the 187 minutes between Trump's speech and his tweet telling rioters to leave the Capitol. I do not see who
A credit line.
wrote it. I imagine it was a corroboration.
You know what they needed more of at the Capitol? Gazpacho police.
Right.
So, but that's where you can find the. I mean, if you go to NBC and Google it, you'll find the article. So,
Yeah.
there's your information there. I do want to say that one of the things that really stuck out to me was when they were talking about the Secret Service calling out goodbyes to their families on radios, so that if they didn't make it, somebody else could make sure they tell their families they love them, that sort of thing.
That's
which
fucked up.
that is
Law
that is
enforcement has
super
a
fucked
history
up.
of doing that. Part of it's a sympathy move. It's a thing they do to make you feel bad. It's also a thing you do if you think you're going down for real. The problem is there's so many scumbags in this thing, and I'm not going to feel sympathetic for an agency who deleted all of their text messages.
Yep.
Fair.
I'm glad they were scared then, although in the days after that, they decided they were scared of something else more.
Yep.
I wonder what it was.
I hear they have a new private lawyer because that's now a criminal investigation.
Yeah.
So, again, in case anybody thought it was an accident.
I will know if it's an accident soon enough.
Yeah.
If they aren't if the best computer people the federal government admits to having,
Yeah. Can't find them.
yeah, well, hey, they're the ones that deleted them.
I know. And if
Yeah.
they got rid
If
of
they're
them
really
everywhere,
deleted, yeah,
yeah,
then it's the Secret Service picking a side.
it was a conspiracy. Yes.
And it wasn't the side of America and voting and
No.
no.
any
No,
of
I
the...
don't think I doubt we'll find the texts.
And
Put them under
on
oath and start questioning
Yep.
them, and do it day after
Yep,
day,
reconstruct
after
it.
day after day, because you are really not going to like what they had planned for Mike Pence.
No.
At best, he's going to Air Force 2 and never coming back.
Right. So they couldn't finish yeah. That's exactly. I'll bet you money that's what they had.
Yeah.
No, I think Pence was. I think that Pence didn't do a good thing. I think he did a fuck you thing to Trump by staying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because if he was going to just meekly, whatever, get in the car and leave, then Trump was going to get his way, and he knew that.
I think Pence knew that Emperor Trump would have little need for a vice president.
That
Yeah.
I thought there's a chance that Pence didn't get in the car because he was afraid he would be killed.
Well, and those were some of the murmurings we had heard early on.
If I was in the Secret Service and the Secret Service had decided that they were switching teams,
Yeah.
then absolutely Mike Pence at best is going out to the Everglades and we're going to sit in a shack and I'm going to hang out and play some video games and he's going to sit there and look hungry.
For a long while.
Yeah.
So,
He
anyway,
can get water every 2 days. He's fine.
to go back to my disgust
Yes.
at this whole thing, the one person I can say, okay, I sort of see your point, was the Deputy National Security Advisor who agreed to stay until the National Security Advisor returned, rather than walking out the door.
Right.
But to the little person from the communications office.
Yeah.
So this was the day I decided to resign. You've been with him for years. What part of grab him by the pussy
Yep.
did you think was something that you wanted in the White House, you
Oh,
dim-witted?
she thought it was hot. Hot.
Aye.
She's
As
not
capitalism and empire fall, the people it's why bad guys do well on batting average. Because if you can control that, you're stronger in a society that doesn't give you a lot of power.
Right.
Aye, fine, but we can pretend that human biology doesn't exist because villages don't last a long time.
But I also think that some of the women Trump supporters who just brush that off or ignore it, I can actually explain that as a female who has grown up and has, gotten into bad situations with men simply because we're told that, it's locker talk. It's just it's just how boys talk. It's not a big deal. It's not a
And to
threat.
ignore your gut.
It's, whatever. If a boy picks on you or bullies
He
you, it's
likes
because he likes you. All this stuff culminates over a lifetime,
Yep.
right? A lifetime of people forever telling you whenever you're like, I feel uncomfortable, and somebody looks at you. Every time you say, I feel uncomfortable about this thing, they look at you, why would you be uncomfortable? He just likes
That's
you. It's
crazy.
fine. That's
How dare
stupid.
you
So
be
let's make it
uncomfortable.
plain that those were the words of filth.
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is
yeah.
what Trump is.
Oh, no, I am not saying that I ever was about it, ever thought it was okay, or ever brushed it off.
But it is
I've
not-
also been
but
through
yeah.
a lot in my
have
life.
no
It exists
sympathy- I have
everywhere in
no
society.
sympathy at
Yeah.
all for a woman who couldn't figure out who Trump was before January the 6th.
I'm not saying.
She's just a little
Again,
scumbag who wanted
yep.
to stay close
Right.
to
No,
power.
I'm agreeing
Ka-ching.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just explaining the mentality and why it worked out that way. That's all.
No, she did it because it benefited her.
Yes.
And she didn't give a damn.
As you said,
Because
ka-ching.
humans don't. It's like when people believe in mercy.
Right.
The only humans that believe in mercy are those that have never been at the mercy of their fellow man.
Right.
Right.
Or excuse me, the people who believe in humans having mercy. Mercy can exist out in nature, maybe. I think it's mostly bad luck, but I don't think the eagle decides not to eat the little bunnies. I think he just misses some bunnies.
Yeah, no,
Or she,
It's a
hip 90s
mistake.
with it, me.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, all of them, they didn't care, and that's the point. 'Cause they were paid not to care. They were well paid.
Yeah.
This is what I see and what I think we should be focusing on is this should destroy the image of the elites.
Yeah.
Because we allow their excesses at our sufferance because they keep it together, because they keep it living here supposedly better than living spin the wheel of where you don't want to live. But that's how they did it. That's how they destroyed America over the last 40 years. Was
Oh, yeah.
it's better than Russia, it's better than China, it's better than
To name two countries that we should never be compared to.
Yep, TV had us really focused on those because we wanted to pretend the Cold War was a thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know what you want from me.
It's disgusting.
The American government's been lying since 1776. And most of the time, that
Every
doesn't bother
government's
me.
been lying.
Bingo. Part of my big problem is that a lot of the kids on the left get all hung up on America's lies because they found out about 3 of them. Like, oh, you're adorable.
So,
It's almost like we all lie.
I think with these hearings, right? What they did today, once again, masterfully done, masterfully
Eh.
cut.
This was the worst of them, but it's over, so yay.
I appreciated a lot of it. There were points tonight where I felt like it was lengthy, where unnecessarily, like some people
Every
were
time
being
Liz Cheney got handed the talking stick.
aggressively, verbose for no reason, expanding upon naming each and every item instead of just using a broad
Yeah.
term, that kind of thing.
I don't think they're likely to get new enough stuff to be back on TV before the elections, and January 20th, they're disbanded. So they've got to get their
Well, no,
findings
they won't
out.
be disbanded. There'll be a new committee investigating Fauci.
Oh, there'll be a
and,
million of them, but it won't be the
they'll
January
impeach-
6th
They'll
committee.
impeach Biden
Yes.
on the 21st.
Here's fucking hoping.
So, hey,
Maybe you should have responded with energy to the moment.
Yeah, no, I feel like this is one of those stories of too little, too late. I think they took too long to get to where they got us to tonight.
Why
right?
are they waiting till September?
Right.
Because that's when people
they're-
are making their minds up about who they're going to vote for.
Well, but they've
I think they're
also
going on a recess for August.
Oh, yeah.
well, they've also got a bunch of new people coming forward and all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of new stuff that they need to look at and a bunch of people that
Yeah,
need
they
to be
got
deposed, and
760,000 documents from the Secret Service. They
It's
got.
going to take them a while to sort through that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot going on.
But no,
so-
my feeling is everyone knew this was their last television one.
Yeah.
And so they were making the most of their time.
Yeah.
At least on the people who were actually there and talking.
And they will revise and extend their remarks so they can
Oh,
quote
yeah.
themselves.
Tomorrow we'll look up the numbers, how many people watched, if we think it matters, and blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
in general, this you know, for those of you who didn't know what we knew, now you know. If you don't know, now you know.
He didn't.
This is all very specific and detailed, and these are all facts, okay,
Yep.
that were proven that they are presenting to us. And for anybody who's going to try to tell you, well, that's just what so and so says, no. This is a fact, and that's why they said it.
Right.
You can't deny a text message. You can't deny a phone call. We know that they
Well,
happened.
the people who said it were,
His supporters.
Republican functionaries in the
Yeah.
White House.
These are
Lifelong Republicans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are not Democrats
Lifelong
who are
conservatives.
saying bad shit about Trump and whatever. These were a majority of the witnesses throughout all of these hearings have been Republicans.
Yeah.
People who believed in Trump and Republicans.
People who thought you could come up with a list of good things Trump had done.
Yeah.
They were fake Republicans.
Oh no! Thank you for bringing that up. That annoyed the shit out of me. The opening of one of the statements of one of the witnesses, I don't remember who, and there's no witness list right now, so I can't pull that up at the moment. It's too soon. But the point is this guy went on and mentioned like 4 or 5 things that he claims that Trump did that was good.
Yeah.
And every one of the things he said, I was like, no, not really. Like maybe a little bit for like 1 of 2 of them, but like, no, like,
Yeah.
shut up. He didn't do anything.
No, that's what I find funny is if they were better at this, they would point to the first step thing, the beginnings of justice reform and all of that. Right, try and pull some things away. That's what's really
Yeah.
concerning about where the Republicans gone is they are not trying to expand to gettable voters.
Yeah. I would assume with First Step that what they're doing is they are making it easier to do prison labor.
Oh, I'm
Somebody
absolutely.
profit on it.
What? Kushner and fucking a Kardashian
Yeah, of
were
course.
involved and it's all scummy and money all the way down?
Yeah.
No.
So,
My faith in scumbags is shaken.
right.
No, the thing itself was perfectly fine. First, let's address the fact that Sleet was accidentally right about something, which is kind of cool. His line about it being fake Republicans. That's what they're going to say.
Yep.
Right? These cats run around all the time talking about, well, they aren't real conservatives, though.
Yeah.
And, okay, cool. Can you define that? No, because it makes it really hard to be like, that guy isn't a real one then.
Yeah.
And so, the other thing, the hearing itself was fine. My problems tend to be with he lost an absurd number of cases. Yes, 60. You should just say the number. It's a knowable number. Right? So I got some nitpicky things, and oh my God, like I get Liz Cheney's done in politics, but she doesn't need that much time.
For God's sake, shut up.
It ran really well. It was really smooth. What you want to do, you want to crash exit out of this.
Yep.
Yes.
Because you want people to sit in the dark of the room where they started watching this at sundown,
Yeah.
and now it's dark. And now they're just stuck with them and the truth of what happened.
Right.
If I were them, I would have gone to dead-ass air afterwards.
Just
But-
instantly.
Yeah. Right, I'd have cut the feed. Because first off, then everyone will be really interested. They'll be allowed talking about it because they'll think something happened. And
Well, and the worst of it was that I congratulated the chairman on his mercifully brief.
no, everyone
And
else's
then
was.
we went back to
To
Liz
Liz
Cheney for an endless.
Yeah, it just
Bitch soliloquized like an Assassin's Creed victim.
The funny part, oh yeah, no, that was hysterical because he says that, and I was like, yeah, when you're in that void and running her mouth and you can't make her stop.
Let me explain to you how I came to these bad lights. I don't care, dude. I just killed you on the side of a road and we're going to be friends.
But you have to let them say their piece before you then murder them for realsies this time. Like, but
Just shoot him already.
no, Liz Cheney, I mean, to be fair, she probably only talked for, it had to have been less than 10 minutes. But it really did feel like
She was milking the last of her airtime
Yeah.
on TV.
oh yeah, no, it really did just feel like an eternity. I couldn't even focus on it, and part of that is that I have a hard time focusing. But if I'm interested, I'm really good at focusing. What she was talking about was just so blah, 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 that my brain just was like in and out of what she was saying. I couldn't keep myself focused on the words coming out of her mouth.
No.
Because it was just
So
so
let me take the other side
ridiculous.
for a moment or two. I think having Liz Cheney participate was a positive overall.
Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate her having done that because it
certainly.
ended her
Yeah.
political career.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you, Liz Cheney, but you should have shut up earlier tonight.
Or at
Yeah.
least did an actual overview of the entire thing as opposed to bringing up a couple.
Yeah.
No. She did.
She did a decent closing argument.
Yeah.
In total,
Went
it
on
was fine.
forever.
The Democrats gave a lot of it having to do, gave her a lot of time because they think she can talk to independents. And I mean, if you've got nothing else, sure, shit, man, go for it. But I don't think it'll work.
No.
Roll the dice.
Yeah, no, and I can't fault them for. They are at least trying a thing.
Yep.
Right.
The interesting thing is that the hearings have moved the Republican
Yes.
support for Trump. Not a lot, but some.
Especially since it may not be Trump. It may not matter.
Peace.
That was my feeling when I read the article about the evangelicals and how they're abandoning Trump. Yes, but not being shitty people. Not being busybodies and the sex police.
That they're not abandoning being shitty people and
Yeah.
the sex police. Yes. And violent, drooling, racist bigots.
Well, and I think it's a lot. They also know what the answer you're supposed to give when someone asks you about some stuff.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
the other thing that's happened with the evangelicals is that their drooling, racist bigotry has driven huge numbers of Black Americans out of
yes.
their churches.
Aye. That is
So-
beneficial.
Yep. Well, and it's down, church membership is down more than 30% in the past 10 years.
That
So,
I want some
Many
answers on where
causes.
that's going.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said I want some answers on where that's going. There's some routes from church doors to the scary end of the right
Peace.
under
Okay.
different guises of religion. Like, I am less comfortable with droves of idiots with imaginary friends wandering the globe
Looking
seeking
for an
greater
imaginary
purpose.
friend.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll tell them what to
Yeah.
do. Okay.
I think there's a lot of people now, and the internet specializes in delivering the dum-dums.
How big
Right.
is QAnon? Did they run from the evangelical church to QAnon because that gave them an excuse for their drooling racism and bigotry?
Less an excuse and more just no, right? It doesn't care.
I think a lot of this is just lack of caring.
And lack of character.
15% of Americans.
They're
So
politicians.
yeah, my guess is that is exactly where the change in the evangelicals went.
Yeah.
Because
They just aren't
I'm willing to
vicious
bill
enough to-
evangelicals to a man have been molested and woman, child, hip 90s with me. And that's pretty much your demographic for Q.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's about the right number.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, but
and that was my
scary.
point, is that, and I hadn't expected us to run it down. I think, yeah, it probably is Q, but that was kind of the group I was thinking of.
Again, that the evangelicals weren't vicious enough or violent enough to keep them happy.
I think it's the need to just have an ever-growing explanation for all things, so you can explain how God hides in every shadow and derpado, because if God's not watching, then why does any of it matter?
It doesn't.
I know, but some people freak out about that. Some people
No,
really have a
it
hard time.
fucking does matter.
To the individual and stuff, but there doesn't have to be a higher fuck-off purpose.
It doesn't have to be
Agreed.
a higher
Although again,
power
I
to
will
add
point
value.
out, that I have known several Christians who were clearly terrified of how they would behave if they weren't afraid of Galwad.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I go, what are you fucking talking about?
That's just saying you're a bad person with extra steps.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
And there is a point to that. That is why Hercules kills his whole family. That's why our folklore is full of horrific fucking people. And that's part of what religion was supposed to do. That's why everyone tolerates religion in the beginning.
It was meant to be a scary story to make a kid.
No, it's a sump into which the dumb and fucked up and broken that we can't get rid of because they're not malformed. And when you're a village, you can't really afford to be getting rid of people because we're gonna the other guys show up and then we're gonna count and see how many people there are, and that's who wins.
Yeah.
Whether we do that by stabbing each other or really just count, but
Yeah.
if you're the smaller tribe, you lose every time.
Yeah.
So no, but religion can't continue that to this point, right? You can't do global religions, and
I can't imagine the mind that is controlled by Galwad.
no.
I know exactly what I will and won't do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So do they.
I
Eternal damnation's what keeps them from doing it. Yeah.
If that's the only thing keeping you from doing
Ah.
something, you might need to look at yourself as a person.
10% of surgeons
oh yeah,
like
no, you
cutting
definitely
meat
might,
and
but it's
nothing
also
else.
part of the reason the church does I did a bad thing, right? I was out with hookers and other married women and stuff, and but Galwad has forgiven me.
And it's a way to address my big fucking problem with most churches. What the fuck is someone who's led an incredibly sheltered and superstitious life going to tell me about any of the problems I'm likely to encounter that would dwarf, this single problem dwarfs their fucking lived experience.
Yeah.
Less true of the bouncer pope we've got, except we see how good that's doing.
Oh, I like it.
Me too. I just
Okay.
don't expect him to do anything. And he hasn't, so that's good.
He fired a bishop, an
Yeah.
archbishop.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Bishop of Bling, 6 years ago. His "Don't Touch Me, Bro" council didn't manage to get a lot done. Ratzinger keeps coming out, turns a lot more than we thought. And yeah, the head of the Inquisition likely knows a lot, and you might want to torture him to find out what.
Yep.
Because I'd let the Hitler Youth thing go, because that was compulsory, and I'd let some other things go. But sooner or later, you end up at a sheer tonnage of scumbaggery
Yep.
that ought to just rain down on you.
Yep.
Like someone garlic pressing a big bag of trash.
All right. Do
Oh,
we have anything
shit.
else?
You
that-
could go out and dig up some of them and bury them in unhallowed ground.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that.
Does anybody else have anything else that they would like to say about the January 6th hearing this evening?
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
It
I
was
was
extremely
sickened.
interesting, I will say.
Yeah.
I was
I was,
sickened
yeah.
by the behavior of many of the witnesses.
Oh God, yeah.
That they are simply scum.
Yep. No, the way they were trying to play with words to try to keep
Oh, yeah.
themselves as safe as possible while
Keep themselves
giving-
employable
yeah.
by the next administration.
Yeah.
Keep themselves employable at the trough
Anywhere.
of money that is
Yeah.
the lunatic fringe. So yeah,
Except it's not the fringe anymore.
They aren't gonna go up and ruin
true.
their entire lives just to take somebody out.
Aye, and I
Even
can't
if
fault
it's
them
the
for
right
that.
thing to
no,
do.
I think some of them did, and I congratulate them on
Liz
their
Cheney.
honesty.
If nothing
Liz
else.
Cheney, absolutely.
Hutchinson's done.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, let's just be honest. Any woman that testified is
It
done.
was done. Yeah.
And not that's wrong, but that's absolutely how I believe this will shake out.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, because look at the vice president who they want to claim as some great dude who has a rule to not be alone in a room with women because he might rape them. Or she could say something happened. One of those two things is what he's worried about.
Probably both.
Don't know. But the fact that that's either or on the scale and it's an excuse to avoid having women get into positions of power.
Right.
Yep. No, that was an early on way to keep women, out of his,
Yep.
eyesight or whatever the case may
Out
be.
of his inner circle.
Right, which makes it easier for him when he wants to come and do stuff like take away the right to contraception and, take away abortions and then eventually go after LGBT.
Can't just talk like men do about abortions if there's women in the room. They get all shouty and they throw things. They have opinions.
It's almost like you're trying to oppress the person in the room with you.
Yeah,
You
right?
can't
Like, and
have
they
them in the room
object.
when you're actively oppressing them.
I do want to briefly point out that there was a vote earlier today, I believe it was today, but there was a vote on a contraception law to protect women's rights to contraception.
Unless a Walgreens fucking employee doesn't think you should have it.
And it was passed with only, I think it was 8. It was definitely less than 10. And I think it was 8 Republicans, maybe 6. It was either 6 or 8. Definitely under 10.
In the House?
The first step, which is the House,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So it passed with only the support from 8 Republicans, 4 of which are up for re-election and will be probably going out the door. So this is really important because we know for a fact that this is not going to make it through. Now, why? Why would Republicans not be cool with the concept of conception?
Because
Pills.
that's what their drooling racist base wants. That's what they want to hear.
Oh,
And that's how you
yeah.
get elected as a re-thug.
Yeah. It's about, as we said before,
And then-
control. Control over what people
Absolutely.
do, control over what people do in the bedroom, and the only way, because they can't control men, that's just,
Well, there's-
that's just not gonna
There's something
happen.
further to this too. Is if they force more people to have kids, they're actually lowering the amount of income they have to spend on anything other than their kids. It's another way of keeping the poors down.
Yep.
Yes. There's some construction in there that's less true, because what it'll do is just lower the amount of money per child. But,
Yep.
Still,
yeah, no, again,
It keeps them dumb. It keeps them, you know.
and it
Depends-
keeps them
if you're-
loyal
if-
voters.
Yep.
It keeps women
20% of
from being able
American
to make
children
careers.
miss a meal, at least one, every week.
Yep.
We are a fucking third world nation.
Yep.
We are a failed state.
If our military want to do something, they should come back and start handing out food.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and the whole thing
And
about the
medical care.
people, the doctors who travel the world
Yep.
giving life-saving surgeries and whatnot, and they come to America and they go,
Yeah.
"Holy fuck, it's worse here than it was in Africa."
Yes.
Part of that is we have
No, there is no civilized country whose health care compares to ours.
No.
We are
You-
the basement.
Basement, we're the fucking dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, you have to take a special elevator to get to us.
The special elevator to hell to get to America.
I've seen
From the mouths of
I've
babes,
seen movies
folks.
where they have that elevator, right? Like something from Eureka.
Yeah.
Oh, and both
Yes.
sides of the elevator are fully armed guards.
Yeah.
You need to have very special permissions to go
Right.
down there.
in
Capitals always had money.
black suits with red undershirts.
No, it. Oh yes.
Red dress shirts.
As all things, right? They don't care what you do in the privacy of your home. They're absolutely going to pass laws.
Yeah.
What they care about is having laws they can use, right? It's like the military and deserters. The military doesn't look for fucking deserters with any
They'll turn up.
effort.
They
Yeah.
wait for
Yeah.
them to do.
They put out
get
a bu-
get
they-
a speeding ticket or
Yeah.
whatever.
Go
yeah.
for a house loan, want a credit card, anything.
Anything
The
they need to
system
live.
have your
their
ass.
bank account.
Yeah.
And they have never looked for AWOLs,
No,
right?
because they can still come home.
An AWOL that you recover, yeah, figuring out what to do with them isn't easy. A deserter, not a problem.
Yep, they gone.
They're gone. They're going to spend some time in a penitentiary. So,
All right, so let's go back to your homework. I hope y'all did your homework. If not, pause.
There was homework.
Go read
What?
your homework. I told you to read it, but you didn't, so that's on you, buddy. It's been in the Boomer Rex chat at least twice, so figure it out. All right. So this is a salon.com interview. It's Joe Walsh's MAGA warning. If Trump is indicted, expect major violence. Outspoken Trump critic Joe Walsh tells Salon why the Democratic Party is outmatched in the fight for democracy, and it is written by Chauncey DeVega. I'm imagining Chauncey DeVega is also the interviewer, since there's no separate name. So thank you, Chauncey.
Or whoever the interviewer may have.
What we decided to do was we each picked one question answer that we enjoyed. So Boomer has one, Asshole has one, and I have one. Sleet obviously didn't do his homework because he's bad. I'm just
didn't
kidding.
tell me I needed to.
No, you were working today and you worked hard, and I'm proud of you. So you're fine. All right. So we're going to start with Boomer's choice of question, which was the very first question, and it is, what is the new normal? There are many Americans, especially among the news media and political elites, who think we can somehow go back home again to some earlier time and place before the age of Trump. Joe Walsh's response is, we are not going, to be united and be able to put our differences away and generally get along even though we may disagree. That version of home is gone. I don't think we can ever go back there. America is irrevocably divided, and I do not believe that most people understand that yet. Can you just explain why you picked that and then expound upon your thoughts? Is that the right quote? Did I get the right one? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. The problem with the question, right, is there, as God, I hate agreeing with Joe Walsh. As Joe Walsh points out, is we're in a place from which it's going to be very difficult to return if it's possible, and I'm not convinced that it is.
Agreed.
The problem is, and I'll read another couple of parts of this. The next part of the question is, your conclusion is obvious. Why are so many American news media and the political class in such denial? For a really simple reason, which is Trump's not the problem. Trump is a symptom.
Right.
The news media and the political elites allowed America to become a failed state. A state where 40% of the population can't handle an unexpected $400 bill. A failed state where 20% of American children miss at least one meal a week because their family can't afford food, right? This has been going on since 1960, and it's just a downward spiral.
Right.
And so you had the Republicans who pushed the spiral really hard and drove it and made sure the rich got lots more money, and the Democrats whose stock in trade was, under Democrats, it gets worse more slowly. And that was supposed to be a big... So understand that Trump's base has every right to be fucking furious.
Yeah.
What they're attempting to do will end them.
Yep.
They will wind up literally slaves.
Yeah, they will work on the plantations in the South again.
Absolutely.
Regardless of race or color, because we're not a racist country anymore.
Yeah, but it will be so efficient to have the company own the grocery store and own all the buildings, and that's where we're headed.
Hey, Amazon's already there. It's got their
so
people
again,
living on property.
What I say to the news media and the political elite is that you brought us here. This is your fault. And if you think for a second that you are going to be comfortable, successful, or safe
When they don't
in
need
the
you,
place
you
we're
just feel free
going to, you are delusional.
Yep.
Yeah.
The keys of power required to gain power are not the same required to keep, and if a key in your court is no longer needed, get rid of it.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, that means kill in authoritarian situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where we're headed.
Well, I will point out that America has in its history been this divided before, and we did not have to have a civil war about it.
No.
But we recovered because of external influences.
Uh-huh. And
Right.
when are you
So
gonna
a
point
world
to-
war,
fine.
When we had something to rally against.
We had an external threat.
we had an external threat. We united against the external threat. I
We had a
don't.
demonstrable threat. That's why terrorism didn't work. It's why climate change won't work.
Because
Climate change might work if it
Climate
starts
change
dropping
may
enough
get there.
bodies.
Yeah.
But terrorism is not an existential threat to the United States
No,
and
fuck
cannot
no.
be.
Well, and climate change is going to affect Europe long before it affects us, and it's already affecting Europe long before it's a problem for us.
It is a problem for us, just
Not
with
this
the
week.
heat specifically. That affects Europe more because here in America we have air conditioners.
We decided that air conditioning was a basic key fundamental tenet of
Right.
being middle class.
I don't know. I've never known anybody who didn't own an air conditioner.
Oh yeah. The South
You can
is
find
full
them
of
on the side of the street a lot of the time, still functioning.
Because it got dirty and it was easier to buy a new one.
Or the people who bought new ones and didn't want to
Yeah.
just sell the old ones. So they just
Yeah.
left it out. for
Careful
the
with
rest.
that, because if you were using it on a place you were making meth, it is now poisonous as shit.
Hadn't thought about that. But I wasn't planning to pick one up on the side of the road.
Fair
Nor
enough.
was I.
I'm just telling
No, but that's a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
I have a wonderful table I picked up off the side of the road. So,
Yeah, meth tables, less problematic.
yeah, probably.
I bet you can just clean them.
Yeah.
No, but climate change is impacting us as strongly. We set records all across the northern tier for hottest day ever.
105 in Portland.
No, what we're really going to notice is when Texas's electricity thing gets fucked up again, because that killed a bunch of people
Yeah.
a couple winters ago, and it's going to affect them this summer. It's going to happen.
They already
We're
got
just
told.
Kind
They
of
are on
waiting.
the national grid.
But hey, it's
They're
profitable
fucking
for
themselves
the rich folks. So.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
they are going to regret the shit out of that, and I don't know why they keep trying to
And it's really-
prop it up as how it's a wonderful thing and we fixed it and it's better, even though we didn't really fix it. So don't use the electricity.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Don't
like,
use the electricity between this time and this time. We fucked up bad. Except we didn't. It's the good thing.
Yeah, right.
we did fix some of it, but not as much as we wanted because that's too expensive.
Not as much
and
as
we're,
you
we're
wanted.
getting so much money from you that like we decided we were just gonna go on
We're gonna
vacation.
pocket the money instead of putting it into what you asked us
It's
to put it into.
fine. It's fine. All right, so let's move on. Asshole's question. The Dobbs decision should be a gift for the Democrats in terms of getting momentum again against the Republicans. But even there, Biden and the Democrats appear to be hapless, uncoordinated, and too late in responding to a Supreme Court decision that was known months ago. It's really pathetic. And Joe says, the Democrats can gain an advantage with the Dobbs decision and what it means, but they don't fight. It's like they're afraid to punch. They're afraid to get in the ring. They're afraid to get dirty. Consider this. Joe Biden is too old. If Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis runs in 24, name me one Democrat that can punch DeSantis or Trump in the nose. There are none. Don't give me Kamala Harris. God bless her, but no. Pete Buttigieg? Hell no. Republicans have been obsessed for the last 30 to 40 years in fighting the fight at the state and local level. That's where they've been waging war. Democrats have been focusing on the national level and thinking every solution has to come out of Washington, D.C. The Democrats are getting their clocks cleaned at the state and local level because of that obsession. Please explain why you picked this particular question and what you'd like to discuss.
Because it partly shows that very little has changed about Joe Walsh, because I spent the longest time thinking he was the guy from America's Most Wanted.
Oh,
So I was gonna say something rude about his dead ass kid, but he's still a scumbag and on it for their side, because the reason why we lose at the local levels, we can't fix the problems that need to be done at the national level.
Right.
Your state raises its minimum wage to something sane, that's cool, but your big employers are gonna leave. They can get slaves cheaper in Texas.
absolutely. It's the race to the bottom.
Yeah. But that's why there's not a lot of state and local solution to a lot of these problems. At
Oh,
least the
absolutely.
problems that you could solve quickly.
Yep. Tax the rich, tax corporations, kiss them
Pay the
goodbye.
workers.
Yeah.
But
But that you're not going to do that on a state level. You have to do it at the national level.
yeah.
Otherwise, you just, as I said, you've got the race to the bottom, which is,
Well,
Okay.
and the Democrats are scared because they're an unorganized party. They don't really know what.
Hold on.
well,
Or
except for
think
the
about
money taking part.
Yep, except
Yeah.
for when
Yeah.
they're taking the money.
I wouldn't call Democrats scared. I would call them
Lazy.
Ineffectual.
Lazy.
ineffectual. or I was gonna say timid, but that's kind of closer to
I would
scared.
say terrified of the ghost of Mondale.
They don't want to be on the losing side.
No.
Not
That's
like
not
that. Not ever again. No, Democrats are afraid of the time that the Republicans won 49 states.
Yep.
Because we ran milquetoast nothing.
Yep.
In the face of someone who understood that it's narratives, that it's messaging, that it's about telling stories. It's about using and, but, therefore.
Here's the thing, right? What we need to do is listen to Joe Walsh in the sense of, for the last 30 to 40 years, in fighting the fight at the state and local level. That's where Republicans have been. And that's what we've been pushing on this show, is that if you do not like the candidates, fucking get in there and do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know you're better than these people.
DIY political.
And we have been seeing more of that, right? That's becoming, I've been seeing it on a lot of the other shows I watch, a lot of the other podcasts I listen to. A lot of people are pushing this perspective, right? If you don't see somebody you like, fucking get in there yourself.
Go
fucking
be that
do
change
it.
you want to see in the
Be
universe.
that. You
Be
can
that.
do that. I, Risen Lady Heathen, believe in you. So what I want you to do is every time you have that, well, maybe I can't, maybe it's whatever, I want you to look yourself in the mirror and say, Risen Lady Heathen believes in me, and I'm going to get this shit done. And just do it. Just fucking do it.
I completely
All right.
agree.
But here's the thing. We need to focus on this 100%. Because the only way we will get back what we've lost in the government, you know, in Washington, D.C., is if we do exactly what they're doing. Start from the bottom and work our way up.
Yep.
It's going to take a while, but we have to do that. And in the meantime, we can continue to vote Democrat every chance we get.
Cool.
We can play
The other
political
thing
game.
is that
Exactly.
it won't take as long as it took them, because the Republicans are going to overreach on about 9 different things, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've already overreached on a couple.
Well, and that's how they lose. Right? They don't lose because Democrats get their shit together or whatever. They lose because they try
got
and take
smart.
America to a place where Americans are like, oh no, I would bomb things if we did this.
Yeah.
Right.
Or I could see people bombing things if we did this.
Yeah.
They
The
take it a
Republicans'
step too
big
far.
problem has always been that they reach this point where they think they're really important and they take their sheets out of their closet.
Yep.
So,
Right. So I will read mine now.
Oh, wait. The other thing I liked about
Oh,
that was
sorry.
it bashed on Kamala Harris, who I think is unelectable, and Buttigieg,
Agreed.
who maybe, but the fact that he is a big-time West Wing fan is fucking problematic. Because I'm a fan of West Wing, but I also understand it lives in the land of TV.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a Hollywood TV
No
show.
one is
That's
one
not
about
real
where
life.
we came from 10 years ago.
Yeah, well,
Again, Trump is
Probably
not
more
the
than
problem.
that.
yeah.
But,
No, the
We
world
are
that
there.
West
There's
Wing
no home.
shows you
That's
is the
right.
problem.
right, is you can't get there. That ain't us.
He's
So-
part
Well,
of
and
the
the-
big problem.
It's the milquetoast Democrat garbage, right? And like I said, so Buttigieg's obsession with that good arguments win this, when no, they don't. You can look and tell, right? The oligarchs are in charge,
Yep.
and
The
so unless
Klestogarchs.
yes, excuse me,
No, and I think you all are going to understand why I picked this question and answer as soon as I get into it.
Cool.
All right. So the question: I detest the Republican Party and the neo-fascists and the larger white right. They are evil. I use the correct moral language. But I do admire them in a way because they know how to fight and win. The Democrats need to study them. And Joe's response is, the only way you defeat a bully is to punch the bully in the nose, literally and figuratively. Democrats don't know how to do that. Every day I talk to people, and not just MAGA people. Many of the people I talk to are what we describe as, quote, low information voters. They are in the middle somewhere and don't consider themselves Republican or Democrat. These are not just white guys. These are white women, black men, black women, Hispanics, and Latinos, and other groups. Almost to a man and a woman, they have told me some variations of the following. This is the important part. Republicans are assholes, but Democrats are pussies who don't understand me. Some of them tell me, Joe, I know Trump's a con man and Republicans are fucking assholes, but Democrats are pussies who don't understand me. Most Americans, these low information voters, they have to choose between an asshole and a pussy, especially a pussy who doesn't understand them. They're going to vote for the asshole. Democrats just don't understand that. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday when I do Burn It Down Wednesday, this is what I'm talking about. We need to get some backbone. We need to come together. We need to protect women. We need to protect LGBTQ. We need to protect our children. We need to protect our health care. We need to get mental health back on the board again. We need a living fucking wage. There is a fucking list, and it's not a very long one, of things that need to happen to fix this fucking country. And if Democrats can't unanimously say, these are the things we're gonna do, and fuck yeah, let's do it, then yes, Republicans are gonna keep railroading us every fucking time, even though they do not represent the majority of people. End of discussion.
We need to organize or splinter cell up.
Yeah.
No, this
40% of Americans think we need a strong leader, even if that means we don't have democracy.
yes.
So, again, we got to get past that. And the first step is some Democrats have to throw some fucking punches on national TV.
Throw some goddamn elbows.
Yes.
Get in there. Get dirty. Make it bad.
Because it is a fight for your life at this point, and hopefully not literally, but very well could be literally.
What's the name of the guy that wears the hoodies and he talks shit all the time? He's a Democrat.
No idea.
God.
I did notice there was a perfect example today when a Republican who was quizzing a potential nominee said, well, I'm not stupid. And she should have broken in with all evidence to the contrary notwithstanding.
Yes. That's the type of shit I'm talking about, Democrats. Get on it.
The one from Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who she's talking about. Who's the Democrat running in Pennsylvania? Fetterman.
Fetterman won.
That's the Democrat she's talking about who wears the hoodies
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and
no.
talks shit.
Yeah, okay, all Democrats need to look at how he's running and what he's doing, because this man had a stroke and is still pushing. He had a stroke a couple of years ago or something, or a year ago or something, and he's recovered, and now he's back on the trail, he's doing stuff, and you know what? If he wins, I'm fucking all about it. If he loses, he's fighting the right way. Yep. Everything I've seen about what he's doing, what he's putting out, I mean, the attacks on his opponent, they're brilliant, they're beautiful, they're funny.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking get on it.
Nominating Dr. Oz for the New Jersey Hall of Fame was inspired.
Yeah.
I love it.
Funny. But
Oz is a carpetbagger. What can I tell you?
what I'm going to recommend for all you Democratic running people out there, hire a comedian.
Yes.
A good one. And a writer. A good one. Preferably somebody who is particularly savage in their wording.
Yep.
Okay? You want savage, you want funny. That's how you win elections.
If you're one of the
every
lady
time.
bro Democrats, it's bullshit and nonsense, and I agree, and you should absolutely get a makeup person out of the porn industry.
Oh, yes.
I don't know who else can work that kind of magic, but
Yeah, no.
Dude. All you really need to do is go on TikTok, and those women who do
don't
go
get
from one
hire
to
a
another.
fucking professional or walk down the fucking road of irrelevance with Hillary Clinton.
Okay. Jesus.
No, I do not trust lady bro Democrats to get their fucking makeup squared away.
Yeah.
Or anything else.
It was a joke. I apologize.
All right. I think that's the show.
I do believe.
Anything else?
All right.
She was taking a breath, and I thought, anyway.
Just gonna start throwing shit at you. That's just
I
how
have
this
shit to
is gonna
throw
work.
back.
Oh, anyway, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review. Smash
that like button on
Go
YouTube.
to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerRex, or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BRexTonight. And if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links, will lead you to us. We love you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow night on Boomer Rex Tonight.
Good night, Internet.